Race and Reconciliation is basically a series of events that deal with specific issues of race presented in different venues around the Rochester area. I see this whole series as continuing indefinitely, and I've never been satisfied with a great name, somebody coming in like a Julian Bond or a Cornel West and speaking. Maybe once somebody having a big event at one of the universities, or maybe I would call the normal venues where they would present such a thing. Race and Reconciliation, I didn't want it to be too set in one particular place. Hochstein is special because of the historical significance and its ties with Frederick Douglass, ties with the Post family, and ties with the Underground Railroad. Part of the series introduces some musical presentations, and I felt very strongly that a musical event would be a great way to open the series up. They are an established opera company with they've been in existence for about almost 30 years. And Harriet Tubman is a great American figure, and I believe that it would be really important to have a music drama about her life presented here in Hochstein because of its historical significance to share with Rochester community.
I'm playing the role of Harriet Tubman, and Harriet was born somewhere between 1820 and 1821. She was born a slave. And Harriet was always a very strong and intelligent young girl. And in strength, I mean mental and physical strength. I prepared for my character by doing a lot of research, study, reading up on Harriet. And there are many books about Harriet. One even in her own words, or basically actually two in her own words later on in life when she moved to Auburn.
Let me be the one to protect.
My character is John Tubman, and John Tubman is one of very few free black men. And he's very proud of that. But he's also very traditional, and he loves his wife very, very much, and he wants her to stay home and doesn't want her pursuing this whole notion of freedom.
Once we arrived in Rochester and at Hochstein, I think it put everything in perspective for us because it's a historical place. And where there's history, there's some kind of presence, I feel, something. This is how I felt. Once I arrived, I felt like this is the place. This is where things were happening.
Frederick Douglass was a member of the church which was converted into this auditorium. And of course, he and Harriet Tubman and Sojourner while she was alive, and many other wonderful, great American abolitionists and early civil rights and human rights advocates were all through here and all in this space and all throughout the Rochester area.
For me, when I first walked into the Hochstein, I just kind of looked around and I saw the stained glass windows, and the first thing I thought was, this was a church. And in walking around the building and looking at the plaques that were there and reading some of the history and understanding that not only was this a stop on the Underground Railroad, but it was the place where Frederick Douglass's funeral was and Susan B. Anthony's funeral, and it also was a tract of land that Native Americans had.
It's, I love that, I must say, it's something very special happening at the Hochstein for all of us, and a lot of us can't define it because we find ourselves crying a lot. And it's not necessarily tears of sadness. Mary, Audrey Brutus, who plays the part of Mary, went outside the theater, and there's a sign there. I think it talks about some slaves that were brought there or something,
The very first day for me was so emotional. I remember weeping, just crying. Even after my first duet, during my first duet, I just remember crying because there was so much history there. There was so much to learn there. There were spirits there. I think even now.
I believe in spirits, and the spirits are all over the place, and wonderful ones. Energy, positive energy.
And their essence never leaves that place. And so, to call on their aid to help guide us through this production.
It's not an intellectual thing that's happening. We know the notes, we've learned the music, but it's as if something is opening us up, and we're digging deep into a place that maybe we didn't even know we could go. And it's happening to all of us. In fact, Damien, the pianist, the other pianist that I have that's helping me out in a very beautiful way, he's new to Opera Ebony. I was sitting in the performance and I was waiting for a cue for him to play. And he was over there wiping his eyes. He was sobbing. And I kept saying, "You gotta play, it's time to play," you know? And he did that through the whole opera. I understood it because when I first worked on this work, on both of them, I found myself doing the same thing, so I couldn't be too hard on him.
So to think that this was one of their stops, this was one of their just stops in their voyage, in their journey to freedom, freedom to think for yourself, freedom to act as you want to act, freedom to have the family that you want to have.
And it really came home to me when we had, as a company, a group meeting. We started to talk about how we felt about the opera, what it meant to us, our character lines.
Coming in, like when you come in.
I work with actors most of the time. Having been an actor, and still an actor to a small degree. It's getting to know the person, and then you're dealing with also the character. So you're dealing with the psychology of the person, if you will, use of the word psychology, and the psychology of the character. There you go. And so you're working doubly. And we have 12, maybe 12, 15 actors, so multiply that, so that's been my task. And not task, my job. Loving music, but never having directed an opera. Still, in an opera you sing, but you must act. So I came to do a combination of the two. Dealing with the music is another place for my brain to work when it comes to how I do what I do. So whatever side that is, it's the same side, I guess. Putting two creative processes in, one I'm sure of, and one I'm looking forward to as I'm doing it.
And at this time, right now, I'm also the production manager, and working behind the scenes, trying to make sure that everything is right for the company, making sure that everyone is comfortable, making sure that we stick to schedule, making sure that the performers are happy, and that's so we can have a great performance. Because if you have a performer that is happy, comfortable, and safe, you can get a good performance out of them. And my job is to make sure that everything goes right, and make sure that Mr. Matthews, our artistic director, is happy, and that the company is doing very well.
The two composers did very intense research to compose their music and to make sure that they were accurate in many, many aspects of their work. And the audiences will catch all of that, and they will enjoy it and leave very uplifted and very stimulated and very determined to find out even more about Harriet Tubman, about Opera Ebony, about Frederick Douglass, about race and reconciliation. It is a very positive thing that they will experience.
What I believe they can learn is that they don't have to allow themselves to remain victims, that they can make a difference, that they can change their lives, and that in changing their lives, they can impact other people's lives.
I think what young and old and middle-aged and can learn from this work is, I think the work helps us to be open to new experiences, to new information. It's actually old information, but it's new because we haven't heard or seen this particular work before. And I think, I feel that it touches, again, it touches something within our emotions and within our spirit, which then, if we allow that to happen in listening to the Harriet, we can open ourselves to all other kinds of music just to let the self be open and receive. And I think the way, I don't know whether Harriet and the others, Frederick, are working through us, but I think that they are. And I literally, it might sound quite corny, but I think that they're here in this performance. And I think the audience picks up that subconscious, picks up that thing that you can't name, that you can't spell out. But from the reaction to the first performance that we did, I wasn't quite expecting that. That people say it's a new work and it's contemporary and all. But obviously they received something that got into their emotions from the response that we got, and that makes us all happy and lets us know the project is more than worthwhile when you can touch people and have them respond, especially to a new experience. I cannot thank Derek Smith enough. He doesn't realize, I don't think, the impact of what, not only for Opera Ebony, but for Rochester, for the world, that one person can galvanize a whole bunch of interested people, and it couldn't have been easy. I know that with Opera Ebony. And for him to be able to pull this off in a first-class manner, that's also touching the cast.
Here is significant again because of the historical nature of Hochstein, the Underground Railroad, and the connection with Frederick Douglass. So this is a momentous occasion in Rochester's history, and myself, along with the other members in Race and Reconciliation Incorporated, are truly happy and proud to be a part of it.